Hello and welcome to episode number 29 of News of the Nerd, a podcast where we talk about movies, TV shows, video games, comic books, and anything else remotely nerdy. And today we'll be talking about episode 3 of Loki. I am Ben and I'm here with my brother / co-host, Jason Derulo.
So he's one of my variants, but less handsome variant.
Hello, how are we today?
Oh, I'm not bad. Looking forward to digging into this episode of Loki. Got some news to cover first, though. You said you'd got a few bits, so do you want to go
this
first?
is my episode, so I'm going first. So the first one I've got is the Deadpool 3 director, Sean Levy?
I think it might be Sean Levy pronounced.
Levi.
We know what you
Levi.
mean.
Yeah, he says
Shawnee boy.
Says that some of the casting rumors are true.
Yeah, no, I have seen that. So I think he said, some aren't true and some are true, and I'm just not going to comment. I think
I've got the quote. So I've actually got a quote from him.
Was he specifically talking about Taylor Swift there? Because I've seen one where he addresses So rumours are Taylor Swift is going to appear as Dazzler. And I've seen him talking about those rumours, basically saying, yeah, I'm not going to confirm or deny that, which to me feels like a confirmation.
So I do have a bit on that as well.
Okay.
So the quote from him is, I love the proliferation. See, big word for me. I love the proliferation. I can't say it now.
You only get one.
I love the proliferation of casting rumours on the internet because I never have to say what's real and what's fantasy. So I'm just going to go with the very cliche no comment on all things casting with Deadpool 3. I will say we're lucky on this one. There's certainly... Is this an answer? A lot of the internet rumours are completely false, but some of them aren't.
Yeah.
So he's obviously not going to reveal what rumours are true, but someone has made an educated guess based on the earlier casting rumours, and they've got their 2 pence on which ones they think might be true. So they said might include Halle Berry as Storm.
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
Famke Jensen. I think I'm saying that right. Famke.
I don't know.
As Jean Grey. Ben Affleck as Daredevil, Patrick Stewart as Professor X, Ian McKellen as Magneto, and James Marsden as Cyclops. Then, of course, there's Taylor Swift, who will show up as someone that's not Dazzler.
It would make so much sense for her to be Dazzler.
She is Dazzler. Taylor Swift can do no wrong.
So Dazzler in the comics is... Like, she is a musician, she is a singer in the comics, and Dazzler's like her stage name. And her powers are like manipulation of sound waves. And she can turn sound waves into energy beams. It would be mad if she appeared as Dazzler, but like she was also Taylor, like she was herself with Dazzler's powers.
Deadpool just like portals somehow onto the stage of her ongoing tour.
Yeah.
Some of the other rumoured casting that did pop up.
I would love to see Ben Affleck back as Daredevil, but I don't think that's going to happen. Also, if all these rumours were true, the budget for this film would have to be ridiculously huge.
It's not meager, though, is it, the budget?
Deadpool, the first 2 Deadpool films have been lower budget films, especially the first one. I feel like Fox basically gave them some money to shut them up. I'm like, fine, go and make it. We'll give you this small amount of money. I mean, to us, it wouldn't be a small amount of money. It'll be like 100 million or something. But for making a film, we'll give you this small amount of money. You do what you want. And then they had a massive hit. So we were like, oh, maybe we should make some more. Deadpool 2 had a higher budget, but I don't think it was, it still wasn't in usual MCU budget ranges.
Can't find where to find the budget.
Okay, so from a quick Google, the budget for Deadpool was 58 million. The budget for Deadpool 2 was 110 million.
And combined, they made 1.5 billion at the box office. I know that. I mean, I think them combined making 1.5 billion at the box office warrants a bit of a higher budget. So if we said, so from the first film to the second film, they've essentially doubled it, near enough.
Do you think the first film would have been as good if it had a higher budget? Because quite often, lower budget forces you to improvise. So you know the scene at the end of Deadpool 1 where he turns up for his big shootout and he's left his guns in the back of Dupinda's taxi.
That's because they didn't have enough budget.
But yeah, so in the original script, it was a big gunfight, and then they cut that bit for budget. So if they had a higher budget, I don't know, they would. They don't have to get as creative with what they do, and we don't have to be as story focused.
They don't have to use the budget.
They would though,
but they can use the budget to pay all of these rumors. You know, like Brian Cox as William Stryker, Owen Wilson as Morbius. Oh, fuck's
Mobius.
sake! Owen Wilson as Mobius, Louis Tan as Shatterstar, Channing Tatum as Gambit, Taron Egerton as a different Wolverine, Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, Tara Strong as Miss Minutes, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, Daphne Keys.
Where are you reading this list? Is this IMDb?
No, this is the report that's given me the quote from him. These are the rumors that.
An interesting thing is, I say it's interesting. It might not be that interesting. So you mentioned Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
Like this is just how hungry people are for rumors about this film. A guy posted on Reddit. I got like a new account. No one had any reason to believe him, but a guy posted on Reddit saying he had insider information and that Elizabeth Olsen was going to be in this film and they were going to visit Earth. Is it 838 that they go to in Doctor Strange 2? And it's going to deal with the aftermath of Wanda massacring their Illuminati and how that's affected that world. And that rumours spread like wildfire, and now everyone thinks that Elizabeth Olsen's going to be in Deadpool 3. And then the guy has recently, in the last week or so, posted back on Reddit like, I didn't expect anyone to actually believe me. I was making it up. I thought it was just going to be like a joke, like people would just come on and call me a liar and we'd all have a laugh about it. But no, people believed him. And even though he's now owned up to making it up, the rumours of Elizabeth Olsen being in this film haven't stopped.
I feel like my favourite rumour is Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine.
Yeah.
Because I just can't see it.
Really? I can really see that. I think he fits the mould of Wolverine quite well. He'd probably have to bulk up a bit. But also, like, Wolverine doesn't have to be ripped. He's like a short, stocky guy.
Do you know what I'd love, though? If he was in it and Deadpool made a joke about Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's
Bitch, what are you going to do? You don't have your wand.
I would quite like to see Daniel Radcliffe show up in it and then be the Wolverine going forward. Like the MCU's version of Wolverine. But I'm not sure he would want to commit himself to another franchise like that. He's had too much fun making like quirky offbeat films. Let's face it, like he doesn't need to make films for the money. He'll have enough royalties coming in from Harry Potter, enough residuals.
They might have screwed him in contract. It were only like 9, 11, whatever.
So I will move on to a Halloween bit of news. Ooh.
Halloween?
It's a spooky season.
Ah.
So, cast your mind back 12 months.
Oh, God.
We were talking about Marvel's first special presentation, Werewolf by Night, in black and white. We were both quite positive about it as well. Like we both enjoyed it. And we both hoped that Marvel might make this a yearly tradition. Have you seen that they have announced this year's special presentation? No? You're shaking your head. It's not great for a podcast.
I thought you'd just carry on like I had.
This year's special presentation is Werewolf by Night in colour.
Wait,
Yep. They're re-releasing the black and white Werewolf by Night, but this time in colour.
at the end, doesn't all the colour come back?
Yeah. At the end, it all fades back in. I wonder if
So
they'll
is
reverse it.
It goes black. I don't like that.
But like, who?
That's
who
lazy.
It's not just lazy. It feels like it's completely missing the black and white aspect of the film. Just gave it another layer of.
It would probably shit if it's in colour.
It was like an aura of intrigue, and yeah, it gave it a different feel. I have no interest in watching it in colour, really.
You've mentioned it, so we have to. You have doomed us.
We have to do an episode on Werewolf by Night in colour.
Absolutely not.
I'm going to put out last year's episode, but every time we say Werewolf by Night, I'm just going to dub in me going in colour. But I don't really have any interest in watching this, but I feel like I might do just because I'm a bit of a Marvel completionist like that. So I might watch it.
You'll have to get that platinum trophy.
Yeah, I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm going to complain about it the entire time, even if I'm watching it on my own. But I wonder how many people didn't watch it because it was in black and white. Then re-releasing it in colour makes me think that less people watched it than they would have expected. So I don't know. There you go. I don't have much to say about this other than I feel like it's stupid. But if you were one of the people who didn't watch Werewolf by Night because it was in black and white, you can now go and watch it in colour. I mean, or just grow the fuck up and watch it in black and white. That's what you should do. But you can watch it in colour if you want. We will judge you for it, but you can.
So the other bit of news I've got is from Fallout.
Oh, the Fallout TV show's got a release date.
It has April 12th, 2024. So not that far away in
the
grand scheme of things. They posted it with a ominous video in the classic video game graphic.
I'm surprised anyone's announcing release dates at the minute while the SAG-AFTRA strike is still ongoing.
They don't care about that.
Well, they can't make it until the actors
Hollywood don't
again.
care. Hollywood are just there like, they'll come crawling back in time. And then we'll make
back
them
in time.
14-hour days.
I forgot actors can time travel. A well-known fact.
That was a terrible joke.
You said they'll come crawling back in time.
Yeah. Like in time to make the release dates.
That's how they made Back to the Future.
Revel.
Like they just got Michael J. Fox to use his acting powers to time travel. I'm gonna cut this bit out. This is terrible. Okay, so Fallout release date. Anything else to add to that, or just that it's happening?
Just that it's happening.
I'm still waiting for the God of War TV show release date. I'm much more excited about that prospect than Fallout.
Triple H.
That'll be Triple H. And what I do like is the aesthetic. I really like the aesthetic of Fallout. It's like that retro futuristic, like 60s kind of vibe in it. Everything's like big bulky monitors and stuff, kind of like the TVA. So that same sort of visual style. So I've got two more bits of news. I've got a Marvel bit of news and I've got a Doctor Who bit of news. Which one do you want first?
Go on, change it up. Bit of Doctor Who.
Bit of Doctor Who. So I meant to mention this last week. So for the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, there's quite a bit going off. Obviously, there's 3 special episodes featuring David Tennant and Catherine Tate. There's a concert that I think took place like last week where they revealed the new theme tune, and that's going to be on BBC 4, I think, on maybe around the beginning of November. So that'll be watchable on iPlayer. David Tennant is doing a documentary on BBC 4 about like the history of Doctor Who. But I think the most exciting thing that they are doing for the anniversary is every episode of Doctor Who, apart from a select few, which I'll clarify in a minute, but just about every episode of Doctor Who is going on BBC iPlayer to watch for free. I say for free, as long as you pay a license fee, you can watch every episode of Doctor Who on BBC iPlayer. That's great, isn't it? Like 60 years of Doctor Who is going up.
Yeah.
Like
It's most people won't have seen the start of Doctor Who.
I haven't seen most of Doctor Who. Like, I've seen every episode from 2005 to now, and I've seen the first few William Hartnell stories, because every now and again I decide I'm going to watch it from the beginning, and then I've never managed to keep it up.
And then you just throw up at how cringy it is because of the lack of technology.
No, it's great. Like, the early William Hartnell episodes are great. I've just never ended up keeping it up for various reasons. So there are episodes missing because they are actually missing. There are lost episodes, because back in the day, no one thought anyone would want to watch an episode of TV twice. Like, that was ridiculous. So
why would you save it?
Yeah, after it had been aired, they'd just tape over it because tape was expensive, so they'd reuse it. So lots of old Doctor Who is lost because of that.
There's episodes that only certain people have seen.
Yeah, and every now and again,
which is kind of cool.
Every now and again, a copy of one pops up. Like, someone will find one in an attic,
and it's worth millions.
Well, I think generally they just give it to the BBC.
At least like extort the BBC.
But the first William Hartnell story, there's a rights issue over, so that one's not going to be on iPlayer either. But everything else is going to be, and I can't wait to get dug into some of that. I'll probably look up like a list online of like essential episodes to watch and just go through and because I don't know how long they're going to be on iPlayer for. So while they're up there, I want to just watch the best of the best
story.
I just want to watch like the best episodes. I think that's really exciting, and of course, very excited for David Tennant's 3 special episodes. We will be talking about those in a future podcast.
I did watch a deleted scene from David Tennant's first episode, the Christmas special one.
Christmas Invasion.
With the Sycorax.
Yeah.
It's deleted scene about, because obviously Christopher Eccleston always said excellent as his like catchphrase.
Yeah.
And I saw the deleted scene of David Tennant saying excellent and then being like really weird with his face, like, that doesn't feel right. And then trying loads of different phrases.
Yeah, how weird that he ended up settling on Alonzi. That episode is a very strange like first episode for him because he's unconscious for most of it.
It's fantastic though.
It's much more of a Rose and what's her mum called? Jackie. It's like a Rose and Jackie episode, a lot of it.
All he needed was a cup of tea. It's a great episode though. Once he does wake up, like even with the orange.
Yeah, no, it is a good episode. Like I said, it just feels strange for an introduction.
Who do you think had the best first episode? And there is a correct answer.
Best first episode? Probably Matt Smith.
It's got to be.
Fish fingers and custard.
It's fantastic. Mainly for that last bit at the end where the eyes like scanning the earth, looking at things. And then it's like, is it protected? And it just shows you all different faces of the Doctor. And then he walks through like adjusting the bow tie.
Yeah, but that episode really wastes Olivia Colman. Like, they could have done so much more with her. You know what I think of Olivia Colman's acting abilities, and
I was thinking of
it was wasted on a single episode.
What's the name? Thingy Coleman becomes his.
Oh, Jenna Coleman.
Yeah, I was like, she's not in that.
No, she's not.
And then I realised what you meant.
But I think so. That as a first episode for Matt Smith, because that early on in the incarnation of the Doctor, the actor themselves probably not quite got a handle on how they're going to play it. But I feel like Matt Smith in that it's the most consistent Doctor. Like, he's pretty much the same in his first episode to his last episode. I don't think David Tennant is in that first episode. He's, I don't know, seems angrier and darker. And
Yeah,
as it goes on,
he's still got like the effects of the previous Doctor on him.
yeah, as it goes on, he gets a bit more lighthearted and silly, but
And romantic.
And I really like Christopher Eccleston's first Doctor.
First episode.
Yeah, Christopher Eccleston's first episode. Not first Doctor, ninth Doctor.
With the mannequins.
Yeah, the Sistine, the Nestine consciousness.
Yeah.
Not Sistine, that's a chapel.
Just a plastic chapel. It's just a chapel made out of Lego that decided it was like, fuck you all, I'm going to blow you up.
Anyway, as usual, we've like completely got sidetracked here.
I don't know what you're on about.
So, my last bit of news is a Marvel Studios bit of news. So, last week I was speaking about the new book that's come out that's called MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios, and I said I was going to buy it.
That book is thick?
Yeah, I thought I was going to buy this book for like a nice light read, and it is hefty when it came. I'm enjoying it. I'm reading it. It's great, but it's
thick with 2 C's, a K, and a Q in there. Somewhere.
It's a lot bigger and more detailed than I ever expected. Like in the first few chapters, there's things in there that I didn't know as an MCU fan since Iron Man came out. There are things in there that I didn't know. So it is a really interesting read, and I'm enjoying it. But early on in that book, they talk about how Disney at one point started telling people not to speak to them because Disney were writing their own history of the MCU, which is obviously a lot less critical and a lot more positive. But they didn't want people to help this unofficial history of the MCU. Anyway, so this new book from Disney has come out. It's called Marvel Studios, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, an Official Timeline. Quite a mouthful.
Like that movie, isn't it? The woman in the window across the road under the house and in a bucket and all that.
Yeah, but that was meant to be like a spoof of those kinds of titles, like The Woman on the Train, The Woman in the Window, like it was spoofing that, and I think it went over some people's heads, probably yours.
Probably. Definitely.
But so the book is now out. Kevin Feige has written a foreword for it, and he addresses
just 4 words.
But
Thank you. I'm here all week. Actually, no, I'm not.
But yeah, in this foreword, he addresses the canonicity of some of the Marvel... Is
that a real word?
I don't know. It is now. So when it's in the dictionary, they can cite me as a source of, well, this is where it's being used in the real world. So the canonicity of certain Marvel projects, specifically the ones not made directly by Marvel Studios, which is things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Marvel Netflix shows, The Runaways, Inhumans, things like that. So, I will read the quote verbatim. You like that word? Verbatim?
What's with big words? You've got a fucking dictionary.
You used the other one, dickhead. On the multiverse note, we recognise that there are stories, movies and series that are canonical to Marvel but were created by different storytellers during different periods of Marvel's history. The timeline presented in this book is specific to MCU's sacred timeline through Phase 4. So that sounds a lot like the stories that he's talking about are connected to Marvel but are not on the sacred timeline. He continues, as we move forward and dive deeper into the multiverse saga, you never know when timelines might just crash or converge. Hint, hint, spoiler alert. So there you go. So it's pretty much confirming we're going to get some multiversal crossovers with different Marvel properties there.
I'd fucking hope so in Multiverse Saga.
Yeah, me too. I really want to see Agents of Shield come into it. I'm a defender of Agents of Shield. That show at its peak was great. It started off really rocky. That the first series wasn't as good, but the further they got away from the MCU and the more it became its own thing, the better it got. But I think, it started off poorly. It was being hindered by MCU continuity. So there were certain things that they couldn't do because the films wanted to do them.
Yeah.
So just in the end, they go to space and they go to the future, and like they get so far away from the MCU timeline that it really doesn't affect them anymore, and they can do what they want. And it got a lot better then.
I never really got through it. I think, as you say, in the third season's not
Yeah.
great.
But that's the thing, is like this show came out, like we're finally doing a TV show about Shield, and then like halfway through that first season, Captain America: The Winter Soldier comes out, in which Shield is dissolved, and so from like halfway through the first season, they had to deal with that. Like the fact that Shield was no longer a real organization and they were like operating underground. So it held them back so much,
Yeah.
trying desperately to stay canon to the MCU, but it sounds like now it isn't.
That is a problem with the whole rights thing. Do you know people like Disney have now got the rights to Incredible Hulk,
Yeah.
whereas they didn't before, and Sony still have the rights to Spider-Man.
Yeah, Sony still have the movie rights to Spider-Man. They're not going to give that up anytime soon.
And it's just, I feel like it ruins things a little bit.
I mean, for us, but it's just good business for them, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is good business for them.
If you were Sony, you would not be giving up those rights.
No, absolutely not. But I'm just saying, for us who matter, like you're ruining our lives, Sony. Just give it away. Stop making shit films.
Stop making billions of dollars.
Stop making billions of dollars on shit films. No one else does that.
I mean, when was the last really bad Spider-Man film that Sony put out? Like
Venom 2.
Oh, well, I wasn't counting side characters. I mean, in which case we could say Morbius. Venom 2 is better than Venom 1. This is a hill I will die on. But the last bad Spider-Man film was like Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Which was the last Spider-Man film they did solely.
No. Across the Spider-Verse was fucking fantastic.
Right, I'm not. Come on. Let's. It's animated. It's not canon.
Everything's canon in the multiverse saga.
It's just a strand that's all animated.
Oh shit! Imagine if we get animated Miles in Secret
No,
Wars.
can you imagine if a portal opens or something and it's just animated like Spider-Gwen and Miles, and as they step through, they become live action.
No, because
that'd be cool.
Yeah, but there's live action Prowler in the animated world, so that doesn't, in the logic that has been established in those films, you keep the visual identity of the world you've come from.
It'd still be cool though.
I mean, it would be kind of cool.
Anyway,
shall we talk about Loki?
Should we talk about what we're here for? So, Loki, episode 3 of season 2, titled 1893.
Yep.
What are your first thoughts?
I need to get something out of the way.
You need to get some out of your chest.
I don't want to bore on about it all the way through,
which you will.
So I'm just gonna get it out of the way right up the top. I am uncomfortable with how much Jonathan Majors was in this episode. Like, it wasn't just a small amount. We spoke last week. We knew that he was coming, but I didn't expect it to be quite so heavily Kang / He Who Remains / Victor Timely focused.
Let's be honest, they'd probably already.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? They'd already filmed it, and I knew it would have cost too much to refilm, and it was always going to get released. But I'm just saying, makes me uncomfortable that a man who is awaiting trial for assault was so prominently featured in this episode. And I'm not going to mention it again now for the rest of the podcast.
Please.
This episode of the
Thank-
podcast.
Oh, shit. But apart from you being uncomfortable,
Apart from it being uncomfortable, I
overall
thought,
thoughts?
on the whole, it's a decent episode. I still have a lot of the issues that I had last week, namely that Loki is way too heroic. And so I watched this with my wife yesterday, and I always find she's a good barometer of
I laugh.
whether these things are actually good or not, because she's seen all the Marvel stuff with me. She knows the story. She knows what's going on. She's not an outsider to this, but she's not as invested in it as we are. So if she says it's good, it's probably good. If she says it's not so good, like she's a trustworthy third party that's not going to get caught up in the hype like we are prone to do. And the main thing, her main takeaway from this episode, she says they've made Loki boring because he's too heroic now and he's not villainous anymore. And this is basically what we were saying last week. And it's worth pointing out that she doesn't fucking listen to us. She doesn't listen to this podcast.
She don't listen to you anyway when you're not even on the podcast.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting that she had that thought as well. And yeah, he is. I enjoyed seeing flashes of his villainous side last week. And I didn't feel like it went quite far enough, but I thought, oh, maybe they're starting to dig into that. And then this week it's pretty much gone again. And he's pretty much just heroic again. Like, the most evil thing that he does is teleport someone outside. And it just feels like...
I mean, he does teleport someone somewhere else in that alley, blast them, and one of them just turn into dust. God knows where they went.
I don't know. And they even, like, draw your attention to it in this episode. Like, they're looking at the Norse statues. And Mobius says, like, I forget sometimes that you're one of those guys. Like, yeah, the fucking trickster one.
Did you notice the Easter egg in that bit
What was that?
about Boulder?
What
Because
about
Boulder's
Boulder?
never been in the MCU.
He's never been in the
He's
MCU,
a
no.
massive part of the Thor comics.
He's in the Thor comics.
He's a big part of them.
He's a big name in Norse mythology, and I believe was killed by Loki.
He's got a very important gate.
Very good.
Thank you. Glad you liked it.
In Norse mythology, he was killed by Loki, by Hother, but Loki convinced him to do it. I'm sure that's the version of the story I've heard, but there'll be lots of different versions, I'm sure.
I disagree with your whole opinion.
You disagree with my whole opinion?
Yeah.
Stick your opinion in your hole. Tell me why.
I like Hero Loki.
I just think he's less interesting. There's less, I don't know, it feels like there's less nuance to his character now. Because Loki always felt like quite a complex character in the movies. Even up to Ragnarok.
He does have less complexity. Which it is a bad thing. So maybe not your whole opinion, maybe like 98% of it. But I like Hero Loki, and I like that normally his first thought about the guy that would just being a dick in the bar, his first thought would to being obliterating. But instead, he puts him outside of the cage. And
like, generally speaking, I like the show. And I think if it wasn't called Loki, and if this was a new character, I would have no major issue with the way he acts. But I can't connect it in my head. Like, it's a completely different character. He doesn't seem like the Loki that we know from the films. He especially doesn't seem like the Loki that we know from the Battle of New York, which, as I said last week, is where he just was.
No, he wasn't. That was like 3 years ago in actual time.
It was not.
It's a week in TVA time. It's like 3 years in actual time.
Well, I mean, there is no actual time when you're on the TVA.
I don't know. I kind of feel like there's something coming. Loki, like maybe it's difficult because obviously he sounds, especially in the end when he's trying to convince Sylvie not to murder the sexual assaultist.
It wasn't sexual. It was just assault.
Okay, that makes it better.
It's not better. It's less bad.
It's like a few years less bad, but he sounds genuinely scared that she's going to do it. And he's kind of put about by it, if you know what I mean. Like, he's desperate for her not to do it. And that comes across as quite a genuine feeling. But I still think maybe because we don't know that whole elevator thing.
I stand by my prediction from last week. There's a Loki stood behind Loki. But to me, at the minute, Sylvie feels the most Loki-like. And obviously, she is a Loki. But she is the Loki that I want to say. I would rather spend the episode...
But she didn't kill anyone.
I would rather spend... Well, no, but like it's just the anger and the contempt and the you know, she's gonna do what she fucking wants and don't get in her way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would rather have spent the episode watching Sylvie than Loki, because I think she is the more interesting Loki at the minute. So, quite a heavy Miss Minutes episode.
Yeah. Miss Minutes apparently is a complete and utter sociopath.
Oh, she's a nut job, isn't
Maybe
she?
psychopath, bordering the line.
My wife said, "Oh, she's got a bit of a crush on him." Like, she's not got a crush on him. She's a full-on fucking body boiler.
She's got like Stockholm syndrome.
It's weird, isn't it? Especially when he created her. So I was thinking at first, like, if he created her, did he program her to have a thing for him? Because
No,
that's
she's
weird.
self-learning.
But then, yeah, she explained that later on.
But I do wonder, Kang, in that house alone, at the end of time, all he's got is Miss Minutes. Why didn't he just give her a body? Because he could have had a great time.
That's gross. But probably because I feel like he knew that Miss Minutes with a body is dangerous.
Yeah, that's some like iRobot shit.
Yeah.
That's what it did remind me of when she like put her face on the mannequin. I was a bit like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Let's not.
I would be surprised if she doesn't get a body.
Do you think that's kind of what it was hinted at?
Yeah, it felt like it was, it was setting that up.
What if she like inhabits dead Kang's body?
I don't think she can do that.
I feel like she probably can learn.
I mean, we'll see. But I could see her becoming the main villain of this series. Like a bigger villain than Kang.
Yeah, we liked Miss Minutes. She's actually crazy. Like, we thought she was just this nice southern AI clock. Jesus Christ, this woman's crazy. Like, she turned into a giant ghost clock to scare everyone.
That was brilliant. I liked that. And I liked her, like...
I liked the fake, rah!
I liked the, like, classic cartoon, like, Mickey Mouse look.
When she was like, you stand out like sore thumb, and she's like, is this better? Like, no, it's not.
Looked like it's like Steamboat Willie kind of animation. A negative about this episode? Nowhere near enough, OB.
No.
There was a bit, but not enough. And he is, he started off as a really fun character. He's starting to turn into just an exposition machine.
I mean, he's kind of stressing out a little bit, so I forgive him for it.
But it is just, we need someone to explain what's happening. And we'll just give Ouroboros a load of nonsense words to say and sound stressed about it.
Well, they did confirm my whole theory about if that explodes, like the whole timelines just get destroyed.
Is that what they said?
Yeah, Loki said, if it goes, there will be nowhere for Sylvie to return.
Yeah, but is that's because if it blows up, it's going to destroy the TVA, and if the TVA doesn't exist, then there's going to be a multiversal war.
No, the way I got it was from the whole just destroying of the strands of.
Well, again, it's
the branches.
It's never stated. It's leaving too much open to interpretation.
Well, if it made you uncomfortable about how much fixer time was in this, you're going to get very uncomfortable in the next couple of episodes, I reckon.
Oh, definitely.
I reckon it's going to be the start of the multiversal war.
I don't think so. There's going to be more Victor Timely. I don't think there's going to be lots of Kang variants in this. I don't think it's going to be like Kang of the Week.
I think that's kind of what it's building up to. I don't think Kang of the Week. I think there'll be 2 or 3 at least.
It's interesting you should say that.
Ah, I am interested. Thank you.
We'll come back to it.
Oh,
Because I have a theory, and I'll come back to it.
okay. Another Easter egg for you.
Yeah.
Victor's lab is in Wisconsin.
Okay.
That's because his comic book equivalent can be found in Wisconsin. That the comic book version decided to travel back in time to timely Wisconsin in 1901 and settle there.
Okay. I guess that's less of an Easter egg. That's more just like where he lives in the comics.
Yeah, but
is the same place he lives in the TV
It's
show.
like an Easter egg to the comics, which I feel like it all is.
I'm not sure that's not what an Easter egg is, though. That's just being accurate to the comic. That's like, in Spider-Man, it's an Easter egg that he gets bit by a spider, because in the comics, he gets bitten by a spider as well.
How about us shoving Easter eggs somewhere you're not going to like?
I'm just saying, that's not what an Easter egg is.
Well, that's what the website says.
Well, the website's clickbait, and you've fallen for it. You took the bait.
No, it's just a section of the website. These are the Easter eggs.
You on IMDb again?
Nope.
There's a section of IMDb that I think is just like, it's trivia. But anyone could submit trivia. And there's also, what's the other one? I think it's called like goofs, which is like mistakes. I was reading the IMDb section, so this is completely off topic. I was reading the IMDb like goofs section for Troy. And basically, any time it didn't accurately line up with the Iliad, someone had submitted it as a goof. So they were like, in the Iliad, the Trojan War lasts for decades, but in this film, it seems to be over in a matter of weeks. Like, that is not a goof. That's just not being accurate to the source material. And same here, that is not an Easter egg. It is just accuracy to the source material.
Can we just appreciate the fact that we're halfway through this season?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's what 6 episodes. I'm not sure. It doesn't feel
not
that
enough.
long enough, especially when episode 1 was kind of filler. Like, it was a great episode, probably my favorite episode of the season so far. But it was nothing to do with the main story, really. It was just getting Loki and Mobius back on the same timeline and stopping him from time slipping. Which
kind of the trailers were all about. That's what they kind of made it seem. It was going to be time slipping the whole way. I reckon, I hope the next 3 episodes are going to drastically pick up the pace.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. What do you think to Kang? I feel like most of the times we've seen the Kang, so this is the 3rd Kang we've seen. I mean, not counting the Council of Kangs post-credit scene.
Yeah.
But so far, only one of them has seemed like a real threat, and that was the one in Ant-Man. And then he's defeated by Ant-Man, so I guess not that big of a threat.
Hey, Ant-Man's bad.
He doesn't feel like a Thanos-level threat yet. And I know that they're trying to build him up to that. They keep telling you that he is. And like, Loki seems terrified of him, and he's saying, no, this guy's a real evil bastard. He's going to be a problem. He's going to, like, but...
I mean, one of him on his own, probably not. But a whole council fighting each other as well as everyone else, probably. Because that's what they're scared of. They're scared of the war.
Loki hasn't really seen him do anything threatening. He's seen him sit in a chair and monologue and tell him that all the other Kangs are coming and they're going to be a problem, and
the monologue was just that convincing.
But he hasn't seen it with his own eyes. Like, he doesn't know. Like, he's seen what we've seen, and to me, he doesn't seem like a threat. Especially this version. This version seems just kind of goofy.
Just because he's got a stutter?
Oh, no, because he's basically a charlatan.
He sells snake oil.
Yeah. Yeah, although, he does say that he knew that his ideas could work if he had the right technology for it. He just didn't have that. But, I mean, that does kind of mean that Sylvie says as much in this episode. That does mean that if he was left alone, he wouldn't have been a threat because he wouldn't have had the technology to do anything with his ideas. Now they're going to take him to the TVA.
He wouldn't have even had the ideas.
Yeah. Now they're going to take him to the TVA and give him the ability to work on his ideas. So
Maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's where it all comes down to. Is
Yeah.
that they're trying to protect things, and in doing so, it's that whole thing about like holding onto the rope too tight to save yourself.
Yeah, I did wonder if this version of Kang, Victor Timely, is going to end up being not a variant, but actually the past version of He Who Remains.
Well, maybe that's why that was the plan.
And so,
Maybe
And-
that's why he set up the plan to pull him back.
what we were talking about last week with the idea of time loops.
Yeah, because we're talking about the time loop, but it'd be a scary situation. Like, it essentially makes him immortal.
Well,
if that's his plan.
It would just mean that he's stuck in a loop. So,
But you can never get rid of him if he's stuck in a loop.
After he dies, he sets into motion his own creation. But yeah, I don't know if that's what we're going for, but I thought it could be interesting if this is the same version of Kang as we saw at the end of last season.
How gnarly is Kang's rotting body, though?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how long has that been there?
Who knows? He doesn't seem like the same version, but Miss Minutes, I'm sure, said that they were together for like eons before he even created the TVA.
Yeah.
And Renslayer also said that she'd been working for the TVA for eons. So I guess if he doesn't seem like the same person, there is plenty of time for him to develop into that person.
Yeah, a week of TVA time.
Fuck off with your TVA time. Stop trying to justify lazy writing. They showed him a video in episode
Marvel
1.
don't do anything by accident.
They showed Loki a video in episode 1, and that was enough to just make him a hero.
I mean,
No.
I think
No.
it would to me. If
No, it
someone
wouldn't.
showed me that being this villain led to you dying in the most gruesome way.
It takes more than that to like fundamentally change the person that you are.
Maybe I'm just a good person.
And modest too. So this episode ends with a tease of a big secret to be revealed.
Yeah.
I
can tell you, but it's going to make you really angry.
Yeah, so it's a secret.
Sorry, let me try it. I can tell you, but it's going to make you real angry.
It's a secret that He Who Remains
That weren't bad. Come on, admit it.
No,
That
wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It's a secret that He Who Remains has, and it is about Renslayer. Would you care to make a prediction?
In a past life, she went on a murderous spree and killed loads of wrens.
Okay. I don't see why that would be a big Kang secret, though.
He wiped her mind because she really liked birds. Do you know I know what my theory is.
You've just sold me your theory.
No, I was taking the piss. She didn't go on a murderous bird spree. I think Renslayer's Miss Minutes.
Well, that was my wife's prediction as well. She said maybe Miss Minutes is based on Renslayer, like it's her brain pattern, basically.
No, I reckon Kang killed Renslayer to make Miss Minutes.
Okay.
Which is why it would make her angry.
I think Renslayer might be a variant of Kang.
Or Kang and Miss Minutes' daughter.
How would that even work?
She finally got a body.
She's half cartoon. What? That's why I always know what time it is.
Oh my god, it's 5:02. It makes so much sense now.
I really need to start making notes through episodes of Loki because I'm sure that I did have more to say about it.
I don't think there is much to say about this because it all does go very quickly. Like there isn't.
I mean, it's a decent sized episode, but they're longer than Secret Invasion episodes.
No, but I mean, like some of the episodes of Secret Invasion, there's the scenes that are there. There's not actually that many scenes. They're quite long scenes.
Yeah. I just like, this is something that I say every episode I know, but I really enjoy the interaction between Loki and Mobius. It is always great. I think.
With the Crackerjacks.
Yeah,
Crackerjacks are great.
That's my
Crackerjacks
favorite.
are really nice.
My favorite dialogue of this entire episode was just
I
them.
understand why Mobius
like-
really wanted to get some crackerjacks.
My favorite interaction of this episode is just them like bickering, and Mobius saying that he goes for the more cerebral approach, and it feels like a kind of sibling relationship. It feels like they've always known each other.
I'll tell you a line that actually made me laugh out loud. Like, I actually let out a chuckle. Was when, obviously, they're looking at those Norse statues, and the last thing Loki said is, "Thor's not that tall."
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
I did like on the boat. This is when I knew that Miss Minutes was going to be a problem. I liked on the boat when Victor, Timely, and Renslayer are like bonding and chatting and looking at that TVA manual together. And in the background, like she wasn't in focus, but you could see in the background Miss Minutes just scowling.
I was just going to say, I love the work that they don't just put her there. Her facial expressions are constantly changing.
Yeah.
And you can read them very well. Like, after that scowling bit, she walks next to Victor Timely and just kind of sits there wiggling her legs with a weird look on her face, like she's hatched a plan.
Yeah.
As soon as Renslayer says partner, Miss Minutes knows exactly what she's going to do.
Yeah.
And you can read all that from her face. She didn't have to say anything, although I wish she had, because that beautiful southern accent.
You still got a thing for her, even though she's a crazy bitch?
That's what I normally go for anyway.
I'll tell you a line I quite liked. When Victor Timely gets back to his lab and he tells Miss Minutes to have a seat or float.
But does she actually, can she sit on objects? Or does she just place herself perfectly to look like she is?
Yeah, I think that's it, because I don't think she can actually interact with physical objects. But like when she's like holding on to the side of the mannequin, I think she's just floating next to it and looking like she's touching it, but she's not actually holding on to it, is the impression I get, because she doesn't need to. She just floats in the air. But yeah, she sometimes looks like she stood on things, and I think it's just like how she places herself.
One thing I do like is the TVA guys fangirling over Obi.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Obi is going to be
evil.
More, I don't know if he's going to be evil. I think he's part of Kang's plan. I think he is more closely related to Kang than it is letting on. It's still the thing that I keep thinking about is, why did he not have his memory wiped when everyone else did?
He's part of Kang's plan, but all he really wants is a friend. And because Loki and they're all hanging out with him, which no one's ever done, he's like, "Do you know what, Kang? Fuck your plan."
Do you think he's actually working with Kang? I feel like he's part of Kang's plan. I don't feel like he knows that he is.
He had to write the manual, didn't he? And the only person that could have kind of asked him to do that is Kang or Renslayer.
He wrote the manual that is key in creating He Who Remains, if our theory is right, that this is the same Kang.
Why is Miss Minutes not in there?
What, in the manual?
That kind of, she was like, "Am I in there?" And he's like, "No, not yet, but I'm sure you will be."
Because was that the manual that he was looking at, or was that because he'd got like a sketchbook as well?
It was the TVA guide.
No, because he was making sketches in it.
Yeah. But on the cover, it's a TVA guide.
I just wondered if it was two different books.
Maybe he gives that OB to write up. Because surely the TVA guide is just how to use everything. Like what everything is, what the loom is, how to use the jabby bye sticks,
and what basically what protocol is as well.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but someone had to make that.
Still have a lot of questions about this.
That's what I mean. Like, third episode in, and there's just, do you think they're just giving us questions and questions and questions just to go? Like, they'll give us more questions the fourth and fifth episode, and then the sixth episode will just mentally drain us that much that because they've answered everything in that last episode, and with that mentally drained that we just are like, I can't do this no more.
I don't know if they will, because series one there were questions that I had that I thought would be answered by the end, and they never really were. Like about how variants come about and what a variant is every other timeline full of variants. So it showed you in the previously on for this episode, and I'd forgot about this. But when we were talking about like why are some variant, like why is Sylvie not pruned like as soon as she's born? Why is that entire timeline not pruned? But in the previously on, Sylvie says to Renslayer, "What was my event?" I can't remember the wording of it, but like, when did I diverge, basically? And she says, I can't remember. But surely that was just when she was born female. That's the point right there. Or even like when she's conceived. So if that's not the point, then...
Well, no, not necessarily. Maybe...
Then there's more than one timeline on the sacred timeline then.
Well, it is a weave.
But that's like...
It's a lot of strands mixed together.
I don't feel like it has ever been adequately explained.
Well, maybe that's why they've put that in, so we do find that out.
Hopefully. I really hope so.
If it's an event for the sacred timeline, Loki has to do something. Why would it matter if it's a male or female version? They just keep the versions there.
Because there can only be one Loki on the timeline, surely.
Yeah, but they just need to wait for the moment where they do the thing they need to do on the sacred timeline. Because obviously it's all a plan, isn't it? It's all Kang's plan to have this timeline in a certain way. What if a Loki, doesn't matter which Loki does it, but they need to do something, and then they prune everyone that's not there. And as soon as they do something that would deviate from ever getting to that, like that Loki, our Loki was pruned because he wasn't meant to go through that portal. He was meant to get taken and do the whole Avengers Infinity Stone saga. That was all meant to happen for something to happen.
I'm just thinking of the diagram of the timelines that they have in the TVA, and it is one line with branches then coming off it. So presumably, the timeline that Sylvie was born on is one of the branches coming off the timeline, off the sacred timeline.
Yeah, and the weave part of it's further on to the right of that.
But as soon as that branch appears, surely that's when it needs to be pruned.
Well, not necessarily, because do you remember in the Infinity War when the whole Sorcerer Supreme were doing the whole timeline thing and drawing loops around? That branch, theoretically, from a multiverse point of view, could join up with the original. Everything could fall into place in the exact same way, but it does just go original again, theoretically.
I don't know what you're talking about now. Right.
That branch could branch off and rejoin the sacred timeline, theoretically.
It can't because
theoretically it could.
No, because they're different. Just the fact that Loki has been born female means that the timelines are different and they can't ever join back up again.
I mean, if a male Loki joined that universe and kicked Sylvie out, it could. Like, theoretically, it is possible.
I mean, I don't think so. But also, like they weren't waiting to see if timelines would join back up again. They were just pruning them. Like I said, as soon as Loki, after Avengers, he goes through that portal, picks up the Tesseract, goes through that portal, the TVA show up, like, within seconds. This is what I mean, but when I say it has not been adequately explained, and now we're halfway through Series 2, and it has still not been adequately explained. So I wouldn't get your hopes up too much about having all the answers to the questions, because it's quite possible that the writers of the show
don't even know themselves
thought about it as much as we have.
Surely they would, when it's their job. I mean, this is kind of our job, but...
You would hope so, you would think so, but...
If we've thought about it, surely they have.
I don't know. I thought that with Secret Invasion as well, but...
Oh, can we not? You give me PTSD.
Right. When Victor takes Miss Minutes back to his lab, he seems to be there to pick one item up. He says it's his life's work, or is it the culmination of his life's work, he says? But what do we think that is?
I don't know. I kind of assumed that it was the loom. I just
Doesn't
assumed
look
that.
like the loom. It doesn't look like the loom. It just looks like a series of
No,
hooks in a ball.
well, it looks like a gyroscope inside it,
Possibly.
unless it's the thing that fixes the loom.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't know at that point that the loom was going to need fixing.
But maybe there's a diagram. No, it is. It does show us what it is. It's the throughput multiplier. It's the thing that OB has. They show us in the book, and it looks like what he picks up.
Okay.
Because he tells Renslayer that the throughput multiplier might be able to help the temporal loop, and he describes it as his greatest discovery.
Okay.
So it's a prototype of that device that OB has, I assume.
I like Kang's little speech that he has when Sylvie's threatening him, when he's saying, like, I am not the person you think I am not the person you have been told that I am. I'm not a threat. And I think he believes that himself. I feel like we're going to be shown that that's probably wrong, because they're trying to build Kang up to be the next big bad. They've got to show him to be a threat. But I think when he's saying that, he's not just trying to save his own skin. I think he believes that. I feel like the best thing to do to save all the timelines, to save the multiverse, is just find a way of preventing any of the Kangs from ever discovering multiversal travel. Like, find a way to block, however Kang discovers it, find a way to block that method of traveling between the timelines, and he'll never have the big interdimensional war with himself, and he'll probably never end up being a threat. I think he only becomes a threat because of that.
Well, which they've just given him. The ability to find how to travel between the multiverse.
Yeah.
So basically, do nothing, and it should work out. Stop intervening.
Yeah. It is an interesting theory that, the TVA, Kang creates the TVA, and the TVA is in turn going to create Kangs.
Ouroboros.
Exactly.
Ouroboros.
Made that joke last week.
No.
And I think that's pretty much it. I think we've because then after that scene, it's Renslayer and Miss Minutes at the end of time with a mummified Kang. So yeah, that's the episode.
That is the episode.
So for now, we're halfway through the series. Where do you think it compares to Loki Series 1 so far?
With Loki Series 1, the only episode that I can actively remember that kind of stands out, obviously I remember the first bit of him being showed the video, but it's the episode on the planet with the train. Yeah. That is probably the best episode of that season for me. Apart from the monologues from Kang. Kang's monologues are great, and I do appreciate them. I love a good monologue.
Yeah, me too. I really like good dialogue.
So it's hard to say because it's so fresh.
Yeah.
Compared to the first.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
We are only halfway through. Do you think this series, by the time it's over, do you think it will have surpassed Series 1? Do you think it will be a better season of TV?
If they answer the questions we're asking, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it could. I do feel like it could be building up to something really epic at the end.
I have higher hopes for the rest of the season than where we were halfway through Secret Invasion.
I think when we were halfway through Secret Invasion, we were just starting to think, this isn't going to get any better. We should stop talking about Secret Invasion all the time.
Well, it's the first rule of Secret Invasion. Don't talk about Secret Invasion. Anyway, yes, that is the episode.
What if the secret is that Renslayer is a Skrull?
For fuck's sake. I feel like there's so many things that secret could be that would blow our mind. And if their current track record is anything, it'll just be that her name's not Renslayer.
I really think she is going to be a Kang.
The only one. Do you know what? It would make so much sense because of the whole video, the audio clip of the one who remains, saying that we need to do this together. It
Yeah.
would make so much sense if they were all part of the multiversal war and she's the only one that he allowed to stay.
It would also be good for them to start introducing some Kangs that don't look the same. Because so far, all the Kangs we've seen
Just in preparation.
are, well, not just about, but it's like, why are, some Lokis are Tom Hiddleston, some Lokis are
Females, some are crocodiles.
an alligator, some and then, the same with Spider-Man, but we've seen 3 different Spider-Man variants and they all look different. Why are all the Kangs? Why do they all look the same?
Loki sounds better than Ala Loki.
Loki Gator.
Loki Gator.
Yeah, it was definitely an alligator, not a crocodile.
No, Loki Dial.
But it wasn't a crocodile.
No, but it should be, because Loki Dial sounds better. Loki Dial sounds like a Pokemon.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Go, Loki Dial!
So we will be back in about 2 weeks' time to discuss 2 episodes of Loki. Ben, would you like to take us out of this episode?
Thank you for listening. If you want to get in touch, you can email notnpod@gmail.com or message us on socials. We are at News of the Nerd. Obviously, the best thing you can do for us is subscribe, rate us on your podcast app of choice, especially iTunes. That really does help. And of course, tell your friends, tell your parents, tell your uncles, tell your sisters, tell your third cousins, tell your stepsisters, tell your Henry Cavill's mums, and tell our mums. Our mums would love to hear it. Someone did tell our mum that they watched this podcast and she was quite proud. So the first time in her life, she's been proud of me. But apart from that, that is goodbye from me.
Oh, God. Yeah, bye. Yeah. Well, at the end there, that turned into a counselling session.
I disagree with your whole opinion.
Tell me why.
Tell
me why.
Ain't nothing but a heartache.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a mistake. Now number 5.
Tell me why.
And oh, sorry, I thought we were still doing the thing.
Ben, would you like to take us out of this episode?
I'm so glad you said out of this episode and not Q take us out. No, you're my brother.
I said, don't you know? And you said, you don't know. And I said, take me out. This is like the musical episode of News of the Nerd.
Should just finish there. Just no outro, just fade you out there.